Hello, YouTube sphere. It's still in the way. Hello. Always happy to be here. Let's get it started. Got some great things to talk about today. First time home buyers. Let's clock in. Tap in right here. First time home buyers. Let's go. So listen. I got to start my other platforms. I was trying to wait to 12, but of course I had to come on my YouTube first and say how appreciative I am to all of you who have subscribed. I lost some subscribers, but hey, it is what it is. But it's Real Estate Tuesday, and we are going to be talking about math. So we're going to get it started. Let's get it started here. I'm going to do this all at the same time. You know, I had to start off with a smile. Yes, it's Real Estate Tuesday, people. Let's get into it. So, I love when I come on and it's still showing the wrong link. I don't understand, but hey, Miss Donna, I love coming on and talking about real estate, right? So, today we talking to first time home buyers, or you could use this strategy too when you're buying your next home or however that's going to look. So make sure that you get some pen and paper because we got a little math going on here today. I know people hate math, right? So my name is Toria Howard, and I am the real estate educator. I'm a licensed real estate agent here in the beautiful city of Detroit and the surrounding areas. But just because I'm in Detroit doesn't mean that I cannot assist you. I know real estate agents all across this country that I can plant you with once you get all of the knowledge that you need. So let's get into it. So I'm passionate about this because I have to tell my story. I fumbled. I I say $200,000 bag, but it probably equaled up to that right about now. Because if I would have thought about it, my house would have been almost paid off. So it would have been close to 200,000. I fumbled it because I did not have the financial literacy to understand how real estate works. So I bought a house in 2010, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathroom house in Memphis. I lived in Memphis when I was married, and I was a homeowner for 9 years, and I did not take care of my property. I did not have a financial strategy. I did not have a maintenance plan. All the things that I'm showing you all and all of the videos that I've done, I did not do. So that's why I'm passionate about it, because I had to learn a hard money mistake. I sold my home because it was a lot of maintenance that needed to be done. And I sold it in 2019 in a short sale. And what a short sale is, you basically, everybody gets paid but you. And I didn't realize that 150,000 that I spent on that 4 bedroom, 2 bathroom house was going to turn into 300,000. And it did. So that's why I said $200,000 bag. I fumbled. So that's why I'm so passionate about showing people how not to make the same. Don't learn that hard money lesson. Okay. Don't fumble the bag because you don't understand how real estate works. Real estate is going to continue to increase. There is not there's not a crash predicted, but you just never know what's going to happen. But staying in place in your own home will always be the stay, will always be what you need to do. So let's talk about it, right? So I'm really focusing on the first time home buyers, but like I said, anybody can use this as a guide. So manifesting with math, right? Vision boards, because we get into this the last month of 2025. It's crazy. So I know a lot of people wait to January, but let's talk about some goals and manifestations right now. So manifesting with math, vision boards, goals, and mortgage numbers that match. A lot of people get into their mind that they want certain things that you should have the desire to want any and everything that you want. But does your budget okay, does your budget match what you want? So you have to make sure that you are understanding the math behind buying a home. I had the math behind my home. Like I did the great things going into my home. I just didn't do the great things once I got in it. I got complacent and things of that nature and was still had a renter's mindset, and I did not do maintenance. But for those of you trying to figure out if you can afford a home, let's start with this. You don't have to have the mansion on the hill yet. Start somewhere so you can leverage that first home to get to the mansion on the hill or wherever the mansion is going to be, off the water, on the beach, wherever it is, right? I love water. So let's talk about how manifestation is power. How powerful is manifestation? As it says in the Bible, you know, your words, right? Life or death comes from the tongue. So you have to make sure that you're understanding what it is when you manifest it. So, but manifestation without math in real estate is just a wish. So today you're tuning into turning dreams into data and faith into formula. So that's what we're talking about today. Because you have to know your numbers and you have to think like an investor. So, for example, you might envision, I'm going to say a city here in Detroit, in the surrounding areas of Michigan, excuse me. You vision a 4-bedroom house in Bloomfield Hills, which is one of the more affluent areas in the country, let alone in Michigan. So you visualize that, right? So the average home price in Bloomfield on the low end is 450,000, right? With 3.5% down, that's $15,750 for a down payment. Plus, if you get FHA loan, that's PMI, which is mortgage insurance, plus taxes. Now, mortgage insurance, the PMI, that falls off after a certain period of time, or it falls off if you're paying more of your principal. And that is something that you have to, discuss with your lender, because the thing is, you can pay off your PMI faster, and you won't have that extra charge on there, right? So let's talk about how this works. So you have the 15,750 for the down payment, PMI plus taxes. Then you have insurance. That equals to $3,200 a month, right? So the manifestation strategy is, now your vision board is a real number. So now you know your real number. So if you want that home, that's 450,000, 15,750 plus PMI visa FHA loan plus taxes. You need to know all these things. You can look up taxes on the county website, and then that's approximately $3,200 a month. If you know you can't afford $3,200 a month, but you still want a 4-bedroom house, maybe you need to look in a different city, right? So you want real targets so that you'll understand once you start going and looking and wanting to see, and once you get your pre-approval from your lender, that you know your numbers already. And just because you get approved for a certain amount doesn't mean you have to take the whole amount. Like, I got approved for 160,000, but I bought a house that was 150,000. It saved me like a couple hundred on a couple hundred on my mortgage. About it. But let's talk about reverse engineering it like an investor. Anytime, it don't matter if it's a personal home or not. You should always think like an investor, right? So don't chase the price, chase the monthly payment that you can afford. So your budget, dictates the zip code, not Zillow. So a lot of people get on there and do those estimates and do all those things, but what are the real numbers? So your monthly goal is, I can afford $2,100 a month. Maybe that's your goal, right? So with the FHA loan and today's average rates, approximately that's a $280,000 to $300,000 home. That's still a good home price here in Detroit and the surrounding areas, right? You can still buy a home for that amount, if you are looking for your monthly payment to be about 2,100. So now you know exactly what to put on your vision board, the neighborhood, the property style, school district, all of those things. So you know, if $2,100 is your budget, then you're looking for a home within the $280,000 to $300,000 range. So let's talk about visualizing your lifestyle, not just the keys. And a lot of people forget about your lifestyle when you buy a home. Everybody wants the big, beautiful mansion, right? But are you still going to be able to go to brunch, lunches, dinners, vacations, pay for, children are expensive because especially if they're in activities, the AAUs, the cheer. I know cheer is expensive. I didn't even realize that. So I have a friend who has a baby in cheer and dance. Woo! That is higher than AAU basketball. And then baseball is high too. So if you have like traveling baseball, gymnastics, all these different things that you want your kids to do, summer camps and all that, you have to factor that into your budget too. So you want your lifestyle to be the same, but still have the keys. So what do you want life to feel like once you're in your new home? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Peace, space, hosting holidays, quiet mornings. Start with the vibe, right? Everybody wants the vibe, right? Start with the vibe and then match the mortgage. That's how you do it. Because your lifestyle shouldn't have to change just because you bought a home. You have to make sure that you are budgeting correctly. So, for example, I want a quiet yard to host brunches. I want a lot that's 0.25 acres or more. Compare taxes in those zip codes that you're looking at that has the square footage or whatever the house you're looking for. Maybe you're looking for a home, you want something that's 1,500 square feet or more, right? Estimate utilities. You can get estimates of utilities. You can call, here is DTE or whatever, wherever your energy, gas, or whatever that is. Call them and ask them what is the typical heating cost, because heat is higher than, when you do air conditioning in the summer. So call the utility company. What's the average price of a $2,000 square foot home to heat? So then you'll know, your budget on that. So break down your monthly payment like a pro. That's what you have to do. You have to make sure that you are fine tune combing that thing. Okay. So one number doesn't make your mortgage, four does. Okay. So it's broke down in four. So how does that break down? Principal, interest, taxes, insurance. PITI. Principal, interest, taxes, insurance. PITI, as we call it in the real estate world. Plus PMI for FHA buyers. So if you had a conventional loan, you don't have that extra tax on because it's mortgage insurance for the government loans. So just in case you default, they have that little extra. So for example, on a $275,000 home with 3.5% down, principal and interest is 1,500. Insurance is 150. PMI is 170. That's 2270 a month. Okay. So that's how you got to break it down by the numbers. So clearly understand how that formula works. Principal, right? And interest, 1,500, because that's going to be together. Principal and interest is going to be together. Then your taxes is going to be taxes and insurance are in escrow. So you're going to have an escrow account where they're going to pay those premiums for you. And typically is paid out yearly. So you'll see your escrow balance go up and down. And then the PMI is always going to be a monthly. But you can take years off of your mortgage by paying an extra principal payment. So majority of the top end of your mortgage is going to be interest. So for instance, if you have $1,500 as your principal and interest, what's that? Half of that is like 750. So you want to say probably $800 of that 1,500 is going to be interest, probably so. And then the other 550 is going to be principal. So if you pay an extra 550 a month, and you don't have to pay it all at once, you can break it down. 275, 275. If you can pay an extra, and you can see the mortgage is different. Like you can go in and make payments as you want. And also they can cut it in half. Don't pay your mortgage all at once. Typically, but know this from your mortgage lender, typically you have between the 1st and the 15th to pay your mortgage without having a late fee. So usually people are paid twice within that right? So you pay half of the first part of the month and half before the 15th. You don't want no late fees, no late payments, right? If you get paid every 2 weeks, that falls along your schedule. And then you can also trick the system like that too. And then you can add that extra on that half. So for instance, if your principal and interest, is 1,500, because you're looking to cut that down, like I said, 800 for your interest. The other 550 is for your am I doing it? Wait, no. No, that's 13. Sorry. It's probably be up to closer to 900. So like 900 and 450, because the interest is always more. So if you add that extra 450 in there, but you cut it down to, what would that be? 275 or whatever, or 225 or whatever the case may be. Cut that down and pay it. So you pay the first, right? The two first, you pay half plus that extra, then you pay the other half plus the extra. That'll cut your mortgage down. So it's ways that your mortgage, you can play around with your, don't go over the 15th, but know your cutoff date from your lender. That's just typical industry standard. You get between the first and the 15th to pay your mortgage without being late. But that's just another strategy. So like I said, if your home is 275,000, you put 3.5% down. Principal and interest is going to be 1550. Your taxes are 400. Your insurance is 150, and your PMI, which is that extra mortgage insurance, is 170. 220, 227, 200, 2,270 would be your total that you would have to pay. But your mortgage consists of the principal and interest, and that's what you attack on to that half. Now, if you want to do, more on that 2270, by all means do it. But that's just the math breakdown. So how does DPA, which is down payment assistance, and credit play into this, right? So manifest smarter, not harder. Stack math with assistance. So that's what we're talking about. So if you get 10K of a down payment assistance, and some areas are offering more. So depending on your area, you might get more down payment assistance than the 10,000. So if you get 10,000 um, DPA plus seller concessions, that drops your down payment to almost nothing. Then you increase your credit score from a 620 to 680, because your credit score is a factor with your interest rate. That can save you $150 to $250 a month in interest. And then you lower your debt by $100, could increase your buying power by 150. I mean, 15K to 20K. So it's so many different things that you can do in order for you to increase your buying power, to increase your, decrease your interest, and make sure that you're using everything that you can in order to get your down payment down. So, like I said, 10K of down payment assistance. Then you got to factor in your closing costs. You might have seller concessions. What is that? Seller concessions is what the seller is going to give you in order to, purchase the home. So you can put on there that they pay your closing costs. So if the seller pays your closing costs and you got the 10K down payment assistance, then you might not either have to bring anything to the closing table, depending on the price of the home, or you might have to bring a few thousand or a few hundred. So it's just up to you as to the lenders and all the things that you need in order for you to, purchase the home. So make sure you're getting with a good lender, a good realtor who will guide you along the way. Because buying your first home is not hard, it's strategic. You have to have a strategy. And I show people how to have a strategy through my videos, through my ebooks, and all the things that I have. So you have to have a strategy. And I kind of went into my first home kind of blind. I didn't really have a strategy. I just knew that I had a good credit score. I had a, good job, and I could go in. So it was cool. But if you're planning on buying a home, I just kind of woke up one day, I was like, I'm gonna buy a home next year. And that's just what it was. Right. So I ended up purchasing my home through that way. So that's how that worked. So the next thing is, let's build your vision, right? How does this work? So I know it's the time of year people are festive and they thinking about Christmas and all that, but start your vision board, start your vision now, your financial goals. Like you should always have personal goals, spiritual goals, career goals, business goals. There should always be categories, right? And if buying a home is one of those things that is on your vision board for 2026, then you should make sure that you understand what those categories are for that. So let's talk about it. So your first category is financial. So what's your max monthly payment? What is the max you want to pay in order to live the lifestyle you want to live? Because remember, you got uh, kids you have to take care of. They have activities you want to do. You want to have pleasurable things for yourself. Maybe get your hair done. Hang out. Whatever that those are, you still got to match the lifestyle. So, what is your down payment plan? Research, down payment assistance in your area, in your county, in your state. What is there to offer? It's easy to find out. All you gotta do is down payment assistance in Detroit or Southfield or wherever you are. It could be Charlotte, North Carolina. It'll give you that. It'll give you the state and the city, and you might be able to see different cities have different down payment assistance programs, credit score goals. Now, I did a video on how the the government loans, FHA, Freddie Mae, did away with credit score minimums. But the thing is, with that, you might not qualify for down payment assistance because down payment assistance has a certain credit score you have to have in order to be able to get that assistance. So if you have money that you could put down, then you have you can credit score don't matter. They're going to factor in other things like your rental history, your utilities, and other factors to, get the things that they need to know where you are as far as a buyer. So, another category under financial is your emergency fund and your closing cost target. So, closing cost is usually 3 to 5% of the sales price. So, always know, um, what that could be. Talk to a title company. If you have a trusted realtor, you can get them to crunch the numbers for you. Then the second category is life goals. What schools do you want your kids to go to? What neighborhood type? Commute time to work. Because I know people don't be wanting to drive 45 minutes to work. Lifestyle priorities, like what is it that you want in your lifestyle not to change? Get your hair done, your nails done, your haircut, going out to play golf with your friends, going to brunch, whatever that is, you got to factor that in. And then the third category is wealth goals. So equity in 5 years. So the house that you're looking for, you want that home to be able to appreciate within those 5 years. And it should be gradual appreciation year on year. So a typical appreciation is 1 to 5% a year, but some neighborhoods in Detroit have been seeing 7 to almost 20% appreciation. That's Detroit and the surrounding areas. So you need to make sure that you're buying correctly and knowing the appreciation value year on year on in the neighborhood that in the property you're eyeing has. So you need to make sure that you know those numbers as well. House hack potential. Know your numbers as far as how much you can rent it out for, how much you could probably sell it for within a certain amount of time. If you can do Airbnb or short-term rental or what, you got to have some type of exit strategy. Even if it's a personal home, always know that you're buying in an area where you'll be able to still be able to flip that house and sell it for more or be able to rent it out to do something else. And then appreciation projections, like I said. So your wealth goals should be equity in 5 years, house hack potential, annual income potential, and appreciation projections. You should all know those numbers. So when you're thinking about purchasing a home in 2026, These are the categories. Financial. What's under financial? Max monthly payment, down payment plan, credit score goal, emergency fund, closing cost target. Even though you might get help with these things, you still need to have the numbers. The second category is life goals, schools, neighborhood type, commute time, lifestyle priorities. And then the last thing is wealth goals. So equity in 5 years, you're buying like an investor. House hacking potential, rental potential, appreciation projections. Know these things. Like I said, some homes in the Detroit and the surrounding areas are moving 7 to almost 20% year on year appreciation. So if you're buying in them type of areas, your equity is going to grow faster. So you need to make sure that you're buying in those areas. You got to buy smart. You got to think like an investor. So with that being said, everyone, um, what you track, you attract. So once again, what you track, you attract. Okay. Every goal you write becomes a number you measure. Every number you understand becomes a step towards your keys. So know your numbers. I can help you with that. I have a first time homebuyer book called Journey to Your Castle, which shows you how to turn your dreams into a reality. I go over concept, the mindset, because your mindset has to change, goal setting, all the way to the closing table, all the things that you need to get your numbers in order. I have that in my ebook, my first time homebuyer guide, Journey to Your Castle. So make sure you tap in with that. It's 30% off right now. If you're a homeowner, you see this. I have something for you too. House Rich and Money Smart. How to turn your home into a wealth building powerhouse helps homeowners turn their liability into asset with a financial strategy. I show you how to do that because I created this based on the $200,000 bag that I fumbled. So don't learn that hard money lesson. Have a financial strategy. So that's it for me today. I bid you adieu. Everybody have an amazingly beautiful, blessed day. And I'll see you next week for Real Estate Tuesday. Trying to cut it off. I don't want to go. Bye, IG. Peace out, YouTube sphere.